In the opening shots, we see a falling meteorite. In the forest where it landed, something attacked a deer. A young couple, Ruth and Harry, are heading to this area. They are looking forward to their upcoming vacation, which they will spend alone together. The couple stopped at a burger joint. By the way, Harry is interested in plants. A strange boy Jimmy approached their table, wanting to take away the trash. Harry explained that they hadn't finished eating yet. Suddenly the boy asked if they had seen the falling red star. Right after that, someone called Jimmy away. Harry and Ruth had no idea what that was all about. Soon the couple parked their car near a hiking trail. Ruth felt a sharp sense of unease, but Harry, who was about to take this trail for the 4th time, reassured her. According to him, she would be at greater risk just driving to work. But Ruth, who is passionate about surfing, only feels comfortable in the water. Nevertheless, she agreed to this adventure. At first everything was going well. They strolled leisurely through the forest, chatting about nothing in particular. However, at some point Ruth's anxiety intensified. Later, the couple set up camp and Harry cooked dinner. They joked a lot, enjoying each other's company. That night Ruth couldn't sleep. Grabbing a flashlight, she stepped out of the tent. Suddenly she sensed something slipping behind her and turned around. A deer was staring directly at her. Harry's sudden appearance scared Ruth to death. She shared her vague sense of unease with him, but Harry didn't take it seriously, knowing that Ruth was prone to panic attacks. Morning came, and the couple continued their journey, which led to the edge of a stunning cliff overlooking the sea. Harry had brought Ruth here to ask her something important. Would she marry him? Looking at the ring, Ruth felt an impending panic attack and quickly took her medication. After a few minutes her condition stabilized. Unfortunately, Ruth told Harry no. He felt like an idiot. When they set up camp again, Ruth wanted to discuss their earlier conversation, but Harry said it wasn't necessary. Ruth reminded him that she had never wanted to be legally married, believing it to be like shackles. That had been their agreement from the beginning. Harry knew that Ruth was afraid of repeating her parents' unhappy experience. Clearly therapy wasn't helping. She only went to the doctor for pills. Everything caused her stress. In the end the couple argued and didn't speak until morning. When Ruth woke up, she found a note from Harry saying that he had gone for a walk to clear his head and would be back soon. After some hesitation, Ruth decided to call her doctor. The signal was weak here, but she managed to catch it. However, at the last moment she hung up. Suddenly a mutilated deer carcass caught Ruth's attention. And once again Harry's sudden appearance startled her. Examining the carcass, Harry concluded that the animal had been infected with some kind of fungus. The sight horrified Ruth. Harry suggested they return to camp and relax. That evening, Harry found an article in his book about a specific type of papilloma that affects deer. There was nothing supernatural about it. And yet Ruth still felt uneasy. Harry promised his beloved that whatever happened between them, he wouldn't let anything bad happen to her. Ruth explained to her boyfriend that she didn't want to get married because she was afraid of ruining everything. After all, human emotions are never constant. But that didn't mean she didn't love Harry. Everything seemed to be going well again. While Harry was cooking, Ruth decided to take a walk and stumbled upon a rare type of rose. Then a blue glow in a cave caught her attention, and she stepped inside. On the ground, a shimmering puddle of some kind of substance glowed faintly. Suddenly sensing something was wrong, Ruth turned around and screamed. Harry searched the entire forest for Ruth. As it turned out, she had been gone for quite some time. Ruth greeted him as if nothing had happened, assuring him that everything was fine. Confused, Harry suggested they head back. During the day, they continued hiking through the forest with their backpacks. When night fell, they set up camp. In the middle of the night Ruth disappeared. Flashlight in hand, Harry went out to look for her. Ruth sneaked up from behind, making him flinch. She was holding a knife. Looking frightened, she said she thought she had heard a beast. Harry knew she was hiding something from him. Ruth didn't get a wink of sleep all night. Harry couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong with his beloved. She remained silent and stared into space. Suddenly Ruth apologized for her strange behavior the day before. Harry wasn't expecting her to change her mind about their wedding. Now Ruth believed they should get married. Harry was happy to hear that, but Ruth set one condition: he had to propose to her again, and they would pretend it was the first time. To do that, they needed to return to the cliff, which they did. Harry knelt down and asked Ruth if she was ready to spend the rest of her life with him. Ruth said yes and allowed him to slip the ring onto her finger. But as she kissed Harry, she suddenly pushed him off the cliff, and he crashed to his death. Then Ruth ran through the forest as fast as she could. She kept running until she felt a sharp pain in her side. All night until dawn, Ruth kept stumbling forward. At some point, completely exhausted, she lost consciousness. A married couple, Ray and Vivian, found her in that state. They gave her water and asked what had happened. The girl replied that she didn't remember. Ray wanted to call an ambulance, but there was no signal. Either way, they couldn't leave Ruth here, so they took her to their camp. Night had already fallen. Ruth sat quietly by the fire and Vivian made another attempt to get her to talk. The girl kept insisting that she remembered nothing. Realizing something was clearly wrong with Ruth, Vivian whispered to her husband that they couldn't wait until morning, they needed to find a way to call for help right now. Suddenly Ruth took Ray's knife and stared at her engagement ring. The couple tried to convince Ruth, who looked disoriented, to put the knife down. Then out of nowhere Harry appeared, completely unharmed. Despite the cold forest nights, he was only wearing a shirt. Harry claimed he was Ruth's boyfriend and had come for her, but the couple wasn't quick to believe him. That's when Harry ended Ray's life, a sharp blade extended directly from his finger, as if it were part of his body. Meanwhile, Vivian searched for escaped Ruth, who had hidden among the roots of a massive tree. Ruth advised Vivian to hide as well, warning that the man out there wasn't really Harry. Hearing her husband's voice, Vivian went to meet him, only to watch in horror as Ray's body fell apart before her eyes. Harry was here too, with a tentacle protruding from his palm. Screaming, Vivian tried to run but she didn't get far. Harry struck her down and declared that if Ruth didn't come out immediately, he would finish Vivian off. Ruth had no choice, but the one who looked exactly like Harry didn't keep his word. He finished Vivian off for good. The alien demanded that Ruth tell him how she had figured him out. Ruth explained that the day before, she had found the real Harry's body in the cave. It had shocked and panicked her, but she had pretended not to suspect a thing until the very last moment. When asked who he really was, the alien explained that he was a scout. He arrived on a planet ahead of the others and reported back to them. The alien was supposed to do the same to Ruth as he had to the others, but he couldn't bring himself to, because he felt that he loved her, even though it defied all logic. Taking advantage of the alien being distracted by his own words, Ruth took off running. The alien chased after her, assuring her that he wouldn't hurt her. The alien was in a state of euphoria, experiencing for the first time this incredible feeling, love. When the alien caught up to her, Ruth was ready to defend herself by any means necessary. The creature in turn urged her to accept his love, insisting that he was an exact biological copy of Harry, possessing all of his memories and thoughts. Everything else was insignificant. Naturally, Ruth wasn't convinced, so the alien offered her to follow him so he could show her something. Ruth didn't really have much of a choice. On the way, the alien explained that humans were the only beings in the universe capable of experiencing love. When he felt it too, he realized that nothing else in this endless cosmos mattered anymore. When they reached the shore, the alien revealed his concealed spaceship and offered Ruth a chance to leave Earth with him and settle on some quiet, peaceful planet. Besides, his kind would soon invade Earth, making it uninhabitable for humans. Ruth said she agreed, but only to lower the alien's guard. Grabbing a knife, she wounded him and threw herself into the water. Ruth was an excellent swimmer. The alien followed, determined to take his beloved off this planet. Sensing blood, a shark attacked the alien. This was exactly what Ruth had hoped for. She emerged from the water and walked away, unaware that the alien had survived. His regenerative abilities were astonishing. Exhausted, Ruth wandered through the forest and stumbled upon Ray and Vivian's tent. She desperately needed food to regain her strength. She also packed a backpack with essentials. Suddenly another panic attack hit her, and she took her last pill. In her attempts to calm down, she didn't notice the alien tentacle creeping up behind her, ready to grab her. The alien didn't understand why Ruth kept running from him. He only wanted to save her. When the tentacle released her, she lost consciousness. Everything that followed felt like a blur. Ruth awoke in the cave, bound by a shimmering alien substance that connected her to Harry's double. The alien was determined to make Ruth love him by any means necessary. Love was truly the most extraordinary feeling in the universe. Hunger fades when you eat, exhaustion disappears when you sleep, but love only grows stronger over time. That meant the ultimate goal was unattainable. Suddenly the alien took on Ruth's appearance and slipped the engagement ring onto his own finger. This was his way of understanding what was going on inside Ruth's mind. This allowed him to see that Ruth truly loved Harry but was filled with pain. The alien decided to live Ruth's life in her place, believing that was the purest form of love. He also wanted to shield his beloved from suffering. Ruth told him that wasn't love, that pain was an inseparable part of being human. By saying this, she triggered a panic attack in the alien. He was clearly starting to dislike being human. The pills were gone, the alien couldn't breathe, his heart pounding wildly in his chest. Ruth knew exactly what he was feeling. It was pure uncontrollable terror, the fear of death. Despite her own fear, Ruth began calming the alien, advising him to focus on his breathing. Taking advantage of his helpless state, she picked up a heavy rock and did what had to be done. Then Ruth left the cave. But even this wasn't enough to destroy the alien. Still, at least she had time to reach the car she and Harry had arrived in. This was not how she had imagined their trip. As Ruth drove away, the alien's voice came through the radio, declaring that he knew absolutely everything about her, meaning there was nowhere she could hide from him. In the final scene, we see countless meteors falling toward Earth. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.